No, Jesus is not a liar. He's great.
What? There's a Gnostic out there. That is crazy.
There's a lot of Gnostics out here. I'll also add, though, that for a lot of us mystics, or spiritually open and on the path, we don't like labels. Labels are confining, and spirit is liberated. But I do love the Gnostics, and I think that they were one of many mystical traditions that had a legitimate path to awakening.
So I'm going to admit that I'm a Christian and I'm biased and I'm familiar with a lot of Gnostic history from a Christian perspective. I did read the Gospel of Thomas. I do understand that there's a lot of different Gospels of Thomas. There's like more than one version.
So there's not really more than one version of the Gospel of Thomas. There are other texts that have the name Thomas in them, like the Acts of Thomas, for example, which is absolute garbage. It's much later, and Jesus is basically a little warlock that goes around killing other kids. The Acts of Thomas is laughable, and nothing close to the real teaching. The Gospel of Thomas, however, is contemporary with the New Testament.
I would really appreciate that, and I would really enjoy that to gain your perspective on things. And I would ask everybody on here not to point the finger or judge anybody.
Mitch, I really appreciate your civility and your curiosity in a sincere way. And I challenge all Christians to exemplify this man's level of open dialogue and respect. Gratitude.
Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with Irenaeus against heresies.
This is my take on Irenaeus. Screw him. He wasn't Jesus. Jesus is the master. What was he teaching? And if he was teaching things like, ye shall become like me, the early Christian Orthodox wanted to stamp out that energy because they wanted to be the mediator between creator and man. But you can't be. But they did a good job for millennia. The early Christian movement was incredibly diverse. Read the Gnostic Gospels by Elaine Pagels, by the way, to understand just how diverse.
I don't believe that you're going to convert me to some certain aspect of it, but I just respectfully love to hear the explanation of your views.
I don't want to convert anyone to anything. All I want to do is live my life in as free and compassionate a way as possible. And if that freedom rubs off on others, wonderful. And if not, wonderful. There's a couple of questions that I don't follow. Feel free to clarify whatever I miss.
And like Gnosticism is very gender-based.
So Gnosticism is very symbolic. The Gospel of Thomas starts out by saying, these are the hidden sayings. It's like much of John. It's not literal. So male and female has a whole different meaning. As you're aware, there's a rich cosmology within Gnosticism, particularly about getting beyond the material plane and into the astral plane. An interpretation of female and male is that the female symbolizes earthly nature, Mother Nature, and the male symbolizes astral nature. They definitely were not chauvinist. Hell, they considered Mary Magdalene an apostle, unlike the Orthodoxy. Happy to clarify this.
And then the cross comes out too, and the cross is like 25 feet tall, and then the cross is talking and sharing wisdom. I never really did get that.
I don't get it either. There's a lot of nonsense in these documents, my brother. Let me point you to John Tyler. My brother knows a lot more about Gnostic cosmology than I do, and he and others tend to prefer the name Yeshua. My expertise is more on world mystic traditions in general, and my three teachers are Krishna, Christ, and the Buddha. What I've found is that every major religion has exoteric, institution, and esoteric, mystical. And I've always resonated more strongly with the esoteric, the inner path. I don't have an issue with the institutions conceptually. I support the idea of a beloved community, to quote Dr. King. I do have an issue with the fear, with the vying for control. And that's really it, but it's nothing personal. One of my mantras is from the late, great Ram Dass, who said, we're all just walking each other home. Thanks again for the questions and the sincerity.